Well, it certainly looks like Donald Trump's Pentagon under Pete Hegseth's command is bigoted, prejudiced, and racist. How else to interpret the fact that Pete Hegseth has taken a look at the executive order by Donald Trump eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion in government programs and government positions? You know, that dirty four-letter word, DEI, for MAGA. He's interpreted that to mean that he's got to axe Holocaust Remembrance Day, Black Heritage Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, Jewish Heritage Month, Juneteenth, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and all the rest of those kind of days. It's gone so far that the Air Force has interpreted the elimination of diversity, equity, and inclusion from their programming to mean they can't teach about the Black airmen, the Tuskegee Airmen, and their contributions to World War II, or women's contributions to World War II. This is the world we've now entered under Donald Trump, and we're going to expose it here because we want to increase voter remorse. People that voted for him thinking, oh, yeah, I want to get rid of transgender people and all those criminal undocumented, when this is the reality of Donald Trump's policies. The fact that we're not going to celebrate Americans and their diversity anymore. We're going to look Hispanic service people in the eye, Black service people in the eye, Jewish service people in the eye, disabled women, gay, and the rest, and tell them that you don't matter. I'm Michael Popok. You do matter. You're here on the MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF. Let's talk about this perverse ramifications and consequences of Donald Trump's elimination of diversity, equity, and inclusion as a fundamental tenet of government programs. First, what am I talking about? All right. So that whole concept, we used to call it diversity. It's a concept that's been 20 to 30 years in the making. There used to be offices among companies and corporations promoting diversity in the workplace, in the workforce, in higher education. It's what it sounds like. That it's not just, old white people doing all the jobs. That it looks more like America. It looks like the face of America. The percentage of Black and Hispanic and Asian and Jewish and Catholic and women and the rest. And when that wasn't happening, to encourage the candidates that fit those criteria get an opportunity to get into those jobs. That's diversity. Equity is, again, sort of a parity situation where we used to call it equality, but now they call it equity, where people have an investment together equally in the outcome of a certain policy, procedure, government office, or the like. And inclusion is what it sounds like, that people are going to be, we're going to be inclusive, not exclusive, about how we look at our workforce, our higher education, school classes, and the like. But to the MAGA, DEI is some sort of perverse, liberal, effete, gay, transgender-oriented approach, and they don't want that. They want, I don't want to say who's ever best for the job, because there's many, many ways to define that. But they just want, basically white people to get, there's another way to put it, white people to get the jobs. And so Donald Trump and Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation have made it a mission to punish progressives, moderates, and Democrats by making our country less humane, make our country less respectful of the diversity and the differences of others. That's supposed to make us stronger, our diversity in America, right? We used to call it a melting pot, which is what it sounds like. You come here from all your various cultures, backgrounds, ethnicities, and religions. You come to America, and then there's an American experience, usually inculcated through the public school system, and you kind of come out and you melt, right? You melt away. What is remaining is an American experience, an American citizen. That was why we called it the melting pot. America was a giant kettle that, through sheer force of indoctrination and patriotism, and civics created this outcome, this throughput of a American citizen. We don't really see it that way anymore. We don't see it as a melting pot. We see it more like fruit salad. All right, think about a bowl of fruit salad. If you look at it and it's not covered with cream or some other dairy, you can actually see all the different fruits. Maybe there's 12 or 15 different fruits. They're not melted down. They're there. And they make up this amazing mosaic in my example, this delicious mosaic of fruit all together. But you can see the pineapple and the papaya and the mango and the banana and need I go on? So that is the fruit salad version of immigration and bringing them through indoctrination through our immigration policy. To MAGA, who are primarily not, they're obviously from some ethnic group, unless they're part of our Aboriginal people that were here first, the Native American. They don't want government programs, government positions and jobs, the military, higher education to look like, America. And so they hate diversity, equity, and inclusion because they think it's, like I said, it's going to lead to like everybody being transgender. I mean, there's no other way to put this. And so the backfire moment is now. So now we don't teach the military the historical legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen. We don't teach them about women's contributions during World War II. We don't let ethnic pride, religious pride be a part of the esprit de corps of the military. And I love Pete Hegseth's comments, who hasn't been in the military for years, and is just, spent 13 years on the Fox and Friends couch and in hair and makeup. He says, well, we're going to be very hardcore about the elimination of DEI. We're in no funny business here. We're going to look very carefully at all these programs. So he wants a full report on his desk in the next, 30 or 60 days about every DEI type program that's anywhere buried inside of any of the Department of Defense or any of the service branches, and he wants to eliminate it. There's one silver lining to a lot of the things that we're reporting on the MeidasTouch network. The silver lining is Donald Trump is spending so much time and energy and political capital in the pursuit of retribution and undoing what he sees as the liberal agenda or what Biden did. And I said this earlier in the hot takes about the end of Joe Biden's tenure. Why was he doing all of these things? Because the more Joe Biden did, the more Donald Trump has to undo with limited resources, limited political capital, and limited time on the clock. 4 years, I know, is interminable, but it's already 4 years less 11 days or 11 or 12 days. See where I'm going on this? And so the more he works on retribution, works on hollowing out the federal government illegally without due process, leading to lawsuits, the more he tries to freeze and impound funds, the more he tries to go after the Department of Justice, the more he goes after the undocumented, the more he goes after DEI hiding in plain sight within government programs is one less thing that can occupy Pete Hegseth's brain or any of the other cabinet heads, as he is literally the sands of time, right, are falling, are dropping. And we've got that going for us. Regardless of what he may threaten, Donald Trump has one more term left. And if we crush him at the midterms, even less. He'll be completely Mr. Irrelevant for the last year or year and a half, especially when the limelight and oxygen in the room turns to the new, whatever the new MAGA generation is going to be, I guess, led by J.D. Vance. So my point is, let them chase squirrels in their brain, because it will ultimately leave them less time, money, and resources to go after other things and accomplish anything. I want to tell you about one of my favorite brands in the entire health and wellness world, Qualia. I've never felt better lately, in part because of the Qualia's products I'm using regularly. Qualia's science team is tackling some of the most challenging aspects of health and wellness that we all face. Human longevity to optimizing mental health. Qualia's health formulas meticulously blend many ingredients with complementary relationships into easy once-a-day formulas. This makes supporting some of our most nutritionally complex health needs very simple. Qualia conducts pilot studies and double-blind placebo-controlled clinical studies on many of their products, all while keeping each formula vegan, non-GMO, gluten-free, and backed by a 100-day refund guarantee. I encourage you to check out their rapidly expanding product line of supplements that support so many common health needs. One of my personal go-tos is Qualia's Senolytic, a clinically tested formula that helps the body naturally eliminate senescent cells so you can age better. These senescent cells cause the symptoms of aging such as aches and discomfort, slow workout recoveries, sluggish mental and physical energy associated with that, middle-age feeling. Take a look at Qualia's line of truly inspired health formulas. Go to qualialife.com/legalaf and use code legalaf at checkout for up to 15% off your purchase. That's QUALIA life.com/legalaf for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Qualia, for sponsoring this episode. I mean, if I'm right, and I occasionally am here on the MeidasTouch Network, if I'm right, then we're going to see up to 3,000 to 4,000 lawsuits being filed by public interest groups, attorneys general, and other special interest groups and plaintiffs against Donald Trump's policies, including his attempt to govern by executive order and freeze. Everything's a pause and a freeze with him. We're just going to pause it. We're just going to freeze it. We're going to pause foreign aid. We're going to pause government funding of money already allocated by Congress, which is completely illegal, for organizations and not-for-profits and the rest. We're just going to pause, DEI programs and holidays within the armed services. That's a lie, because he'll never unpause it or unfreeze it, unless he's forced to by the court system. So we've got, I think, 3,000 to 4,000 lawsuits tying Donald Trump up in, let's do it this way. He's got 4 times 365. So let's just round it off and say he's got about 1,400 days in office. 4,000 lawsuits. You do the math. That's like 2.2-ish lawsuits per day that his Department of Justice and Solicitor General are going to have to deal with. It's going to take years to get through these things. And for everybody that says he's got the Supreme Court in his back pocket, remember this statistic. Let's say 4,000 lawsuits. There were 1,000 lawsuits filed against his first term. 4,000 lawsuits filed in the next 4 years. Let's just say it's 1,000 a year. Do you know how many lawsuits end up at the United States Supreme Court? How many appeals? No more than 60. 60. So all 1,000 aren't going to end up at the United States Supreme Court. So justice is going to be done at the trial court level and at the first level appeal level. And that's where we have to beat Donald Trump. And so Donald Trump going after and rooting out problems that don't exist, like DEI and having Black Heritage Month or Hispanic Heritage Month or Martin Luther King Jr. Day or Juneteenth, again, is one less moment that he can do something else in the remaining time while we tie him up effectively in the court system. I mean, look, just since the Trump administration, which is only, it's hard to believe, it's only about 9 days or 10 days old, we already have more than 10 lawsuits in 4 different jurisdictions and 2 federal blocks of his worst executive orders so far, forcing him to already reverse one of them on federal funding. You see how this map is working? This blueprint is working. I'm going to continue to follow it right here on the MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF. Follow me on Legal AF Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, everywhere you get your audio podcast from. And while you have a moment, come over to Legal AF, the YouTube channel, hit the blue subscribe button and help us get to 500,000 subscribers in our first 5 months. So until my next Hot Take or Reporting, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the MeidasTouch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.